Hey tribe, welcome to HGDC, HD Designs Crochet. This is my tutorial on how to do the join as you go method for granny squares. This is part of my series. In part 1 I show you how to make the granny square, in my opinion the best thing about crochet, and in this one I'm going to show you how to join them as you crochet them. Now there's various methods to join granny squares. Some people choose to make all of their squares and then seam them together using a single crochet or a slip stitch. There's also the continuous join as you go method, which I will show you in part 3 of this series, and one of my other tried and true methods is the continuous join, the join as you go. Now it's called join as you go because if you can see, show you on this one for the contrast, as I've crocheted this granny square I have attached it to this coloured one. If anyone is interested, this is Candy Floss by Stylecraft and the joining yarn is Mushroom by Stylecraft. So you should be able to see there that the pink is looped onto the mushroom. And same for this one here, though that one doesn't show as well, and this one really does show. Now this pattern is going to be it's going to be a scarf. It's my mini adventure pattern and I'm making a little scarf for my 4-year-old niece. You can get this pattern, I will release it, and as soon as it's released I will update it below. As soon as it's released I will update the drop down box below so you can find the details. I have constructed this entire thing by doing join as you go granny squares. Now this is a really good method for joining squares when the last round is a different colour on each square. If you are going to make granny squares where the last round is all the same colour, then you want to use my next video, the continuous join as you go, because it has less ends and it is quick. Okay, let's get started. So I have another granny square here, and each of these squares are 5 rounds. So I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one is currently at 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just starting the 5th round. So what I'm going to do is I am going to carry on with my granny square until I get to my first corner. So in my first corner I do my 3 treble like so, and then rather than chain 2 to begin my corner, I am going to take this granny square that I want to join into, and in the corner here I'm going to put my hook straight in, and then I'm going to slip stitch this granny square onto the one that I want to attach it to, and then I do 3 treble into the corner of this peach square. And then at the end of the 3 treble that I've just done, because I'm creating a corner, I am going to fold it against the square behind, and I'm going to slip stitch here. So I've just slip stitched into the corner, and now I'm going to slip stitch in the gap between the next cluster of trebles. It's just a simple slip stitch like so, and then I'm going to continue with my peach square by doing 3 treble into the next cluster space. So in effect you are still making a granny square in the same way. The only difference is that at the end of each group of 3 trebles you slip stitch into the corresponding group behind on the square that you want to attach it to. And then when you lay that flat, you can see that my corner is joined to the corner and these all line up nice and neatly. And I'm going to continue my way along, doing 3 treble into there to slip stitch into there, 3 treble into there to slip stitch into there. And these will join up nicely because they're the same size. And so you will always know that you've gone into the right space. So I do 3 treble here. And then I slip stitch into the space behind. And then 3 treble into the next space to continue my granny square. Slip stitch into the group behind again, then 3 treble into my corner. Oops, I seem to be dropping my loops every few seconds. Then I slip stitch into the corner behind, like so. And if I lay that flat, you can see a nice join. So then I want to continue with my corner on the peach by doing 3 treble. And then once I've done that, I won't need to slip stitch into this square any longer. I would just continue with the peach doing a normal granny square until I get to here, and then I'll slip stitch it to join. It's a really simple way to crochet your granny squares together as you go along, so that you're not faced with hundreds and hundreds of squares that you then have to seam together when you get to the end of a project, or when you want to join a project, should I say. It's very simple, very effective, and it looks great. Now when you're going to join a square here and here, you will then have more slip stitches that you have to do. So the square that goes here will then slip stitch into that edge. The square that goes here will slip stitch into this square that will go here and along there. So you just make sure that when you lay it flat, that each row neatly joins up, and then you know that you've done it correctly. So I'm just going to continue this end to show you, and then I'll snip the yarn. Okay tribe, so I've now joined that granny square to this one, and it looks great. So you just continue to work each granny square the same to get it where you want to be. Top tip for you, if your granny squares have multiple rounds, such as 16 rounds because they are giant granny squares and you're joining them, when it comes to the corner, I would suggest that you slip stitch maybe 2 or 3 stitches, and same on these gaps too. As long as you make them consistent across the entire blanket, it would just look like a design feature, but it just gives it a bit more stability, because a large blanket will have some pull to it, and you can see the gaps there. And I have found with bigger blankets in the past that the one stitch wasn't quite sufficient. I should have put a couple of stitches in, and so I have done that going forward, and it just gives it a bit more stability, which means then that there's not too much pull between each row. So that is how you do the join as you go crochet method for granny squares. There is another part left in my series which is called the continuous join as you go, and that is best used for squares that all use the same outer joining colour. And if I can steel myself to do it, I am going to show you how to weave the ends in as well. Nobody really likes to do that part, but it's essential. So thank you for watching, tribe. Give it a thumbs up, and I hope that you will join in making some of my granny square projects, and that you'll join in with the granny square cows as and when I launch them. Take care, see you in the next one. Peace.